Technology from Magna. So my role in Magna is to be Vice President of Corporate R&D. And now what I want to share with you is how we get top down from social automotive trends into products and how we then realize the products. So, wrong direction, sorry. So, before we get into any kind of technological field, we address the mega trends, what's going on in the world in terms of economy, society, and mobility. Yeah, and those mega trends, which are not only, let's say, individual from Magna, we break down into the automotive industry trend, what matches to the automotive industry world, and from that we address the topics that we want to address in the car of the future. And these are almost unchanged: electrified, personalized, connected, and autonomous. And what's pretty new and becoming more and more popular is, of course, sustainable. If we break those characteristics then further down into what does this mean for the customer, then of course I think nobody of you will surprise that customer experience becomes more and more relevant for new vehicles, and that always to be capable to update the features in the vehicle is more and more important, and to be always online. So cars will be more intelligent nodes that are interconnected with the social media world and the individuals. For the industry, it's a little bit different, because we see with the different suppliers now, especially in electronics, chip suppliers coming up, tier ones going further down into manufacturing. We definitely see a disruption in the automotive value chain. We see new business models coming up. That's something that the whole industry prepares for, especially with the software-defined vehicle. And since we're turning to more and more electrification and battery, some highest costs, I will get to that later as well, efficiency is above all, more than maybe with the combustion engine before. What does it mean then to our product design? Yeah, we'll be more and more electrified. It has all to pay off for the efficiency. That means lightweighting. For mechanical design, it will be about ADAS and active safety. I don't want to go through all the topics, but especially, as I mentioned, what is becoming more and more is the topic of sustainability and circular economy.
Being able to rotate the drive through 90 degrees. And what that does is that makes the integration costs for an OEM way lower. They really only need to validate and test one drive. It fits in both the rear in its flat position, but in the front of the vehicle there's not so much space. It needs to rotate through 90 degrees. So without any changes to this drive, an OEM can fit it both in the rear or the front. And there are differences in North America and Europe where the primary drive will sit. The regional requirements for driving are quite different. So a bit more on that as well later, and the enablers for it. Here's a little exploded diagram of the next gen drive. You can see here we have a hairpin motor, internal permanent magnet, segmented rotor, and the differential being central in the e-drive is absolutely crucial to being able to make this a much smaller package and to reduce some of the weight. I'll go into some of the other technologies in the next couple of slides. To enable us to rotate through 90 degrees that drive, it's really important that the fluid control, in this case it's an electric motor that controls the oil cooling of the e-drive, it has to be at the bottom in both locations. Gravity is always going to work with you or against you, depending on where you are. And what we've been able to do, when you design it from the very outset to be at the bottom, we effectively rotate the e-drive around, maintaining this active fluid control at the very bottom. So this really is quite key to being able to rotate that drive.
What we do at Magna. And I think there's a few key pillars for us here as well. We can really support the solution. So not just individual sensors, components, the pieces of the puzzle, but the full solution itself. And that's something for me that is really, important as part of the transition to ADAS for everyone, to have in every vehicle, to make sure you get the additional features and functions that you want to have. So first of all, Magna has the power of being able to innovate, have the innovation through combined products. So as Jörg said before, we have a lot of ability now to put things, combine the sensors and functions together with other domains in the vehicle. We also can solve problems more intelligently, having a full product suite that we have, which is basically having all access to all the features and functions and the sensors, meaning you can combine sensors in a kind of more advantageous way. So rather than using expensive LiDAR, you can combine other sensors that give you similar performance in nighttime and long range and so on as well.
15 minutes to take you through some more detail on our next gen e-drive that we're debuting here in North America. So some really exciting innovation. Got about 10 minutes to go through about 15 or so slides with you. And I'll be happy to take your questions afterwards. I'm sure there's some more detail needed. So I'll scoot through these quite quickly. Many of you know Magna, and you know that we do have a complete portfolio of e-drives. So we do have drives, both primary, complementary, secondary, and also, as we showed here last year at CES, we have a complete family of e-beams as well. So a complete portfolio from 40, 50 kilowatts right up now to including 400, 450 kilowatts with some of the really big e-beams. So Magna do have that complete portfolio. The drive that we're showing here, our next gen e-drive, is a primary drive that fits right in the middle very nicely. We've got more detail on the booth tomorrow, and as I say, if after the presentation you want more specifics, please reach out to me. One of the areas that we wanted to bring to your attention here is that one of the natural transitions for Magna as a supplier of transmissions and transfer cases is a lot of the technology in an electric drive is a natural transition for us because we already have them in the portfolio. I won't go through them all here, but you can see some of the things like decoupling, two-speed park lock. All of these features are very well known to us from our history of transfer cases and transmissions.
Where you really want to have smart sensors with the intelligence in the sensor itself, we can do that. But we can also do the full performance systems as well with the very expensive and high power ADAS ECUs and integrated domain controllers. And then finally, we can give system packages. Having the access to the full sensor suite allows us to configure that for a sensor package that gives you just a general fulfill regulations package all the way up to a higher performance package, which is really important.
We want this to be, we have several demos for you all. We have new unveiled e-drive right behind me we'll get into as well. One thing that I know for any of these presentations, a key thing, we will be sharing the slides, so if we miss anything, you will have that at the end of the night. In terms of just general run of show, so we have 3 presentations. It'll be about